Howdy, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, to today's stream where we are going to dive into lessons we've learned from working remote. If you are joining live, be sure to leave any questions, comments, whatever down in the chat, and then feel free to join the discussion too. Let us know, and then we can always pop a join link also. We'll keep this just an open, casual, fun, relaxed conversation, and I'm sure you guys have all seen Joel from Sobriety University on my channel before. He's been down here in Mexico with me for a few months now. No, it's been more than half a year. Yeah, you did your first border run. You're official. You're
Right.
well on your way
Yeah,
to
we made
becoming a real live Mexican, or I call it reverse Mexican. But
Reverse
so,
Mexican.
guys, my channel focuses on the living abroad type topics, lifestyle, fitness, intercultural dating, all that good stuff. But one thing a lot of guys miss, which I started to cover more on the channel, is that you need to learn how to make money on the internet or have a reliable source of income before you leave your home country. I do get guys that ask me, well, hey, how do I get a job with a Mexican company? You don't want to do that. They work very long hours and they're paid very little. You want a job for an American company or doing your own thing. Getting paid in dollars and paying in pesos is usually the key. So Joel and I are just going to kind of break down how to go about doing that, some of the hard lessons we've learned along the way. So Joel, let's go ahead and start everyone off with what's your experience been like working remotely and living 100% abroad now that you've gotten your feet wet?
Yeah, dude, it's been amazing. It's been a dream come true. And, it's so funny because I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have booked you for a coaching call almost a year and a half ago. So that's
Guys,
how
book for
Jaron and
coaching
I met.
in the description.
Actually. So
Yeah.
we have 5 more rooms here. So we need 5 more clients. No, it's just crazy how it's all panned out. And like, if you would have asked me a year and a half ago where you think you'd be in a year and a half, I would not have guessed living here in Mexico with yourself. It's been an amazing experience. We just had our border run, like Jaron said, and it was really funny because we were in line and there was this this Asian guy that was, checking people into the country, and he was just a total dick. And if you remember that, and I walk up there and he's like, "Yo, what's up, bro?" And his just like voice totally changed. And I'm just like, "All right, well, I'm good to come back to Mexico." So sweet.
The white guys do that to me. They see the passport because it says where you're born. Yours says Korea. I'm like, oh, bro, are we going to get sent to secondary? But luckily mine says I was born in Texas. So they're like, oh, Texas, huh? I'm like, yeah. And then they just like, come on in. Like, welcome home.
Yeah. And guys, if you didn't know too, this is the first episode of the Gringo Guides Podcast. So Jaron and I work together on his channel, and you might have seen me on a video or two. And we decided that it's time, you do so many live streams, we might as well just make it a podcast. So I'm really excited to get this show going in a sense. And, we'll be up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts very soon. So it's just a fun thing to do. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, bro? What's good with you?
Steven, how's it going, bro? Don't recognize the name. Yeah. Is it new to the channel?
Yeah, so I was wondering. Yeah. Are you new to this channel? If so, let us know. Leave any questions down in the chat, and we shall get on going. So lessons learned from working remote. Do you have any lessons that like hard or good or anything in there in between that you can share with the good folks here tuning in?
Yeah, absolutely. So my channel and what I really focus on is the psychology behind things. So that's what I studied in college, and I'm really always interested in mindset and stuff. So for me, the biggest challenge has been how to be okay with not having consistent income and having spurts where money comes in and then like you don't get any for a little bit. And that's probably been the hardest thing for me because I'm used to, having money coming in from a job. I worked at JOB and just, every day, if I wanted to, I could cash out and get my money. So it's been hard. There's been some definitely dark nights of the soul of wondering like, shoot, do I got to go back to the US? Am I not going to be able to sustain myself? And Jaron and I have a lot of fun behind the scenes. So like that really sucks to be like, dude, I would have to let that go and just go work. But life keeps giving me experiences where I can earn money. And I think that's the biggest lessons is just to be patient. One of the biggest lessons, to be patient with the process and trust that if you're, hitting the internet every day and you're, putting out leads or whatever, the job applications, whatever it might be, that you will get rewarded eventually. And I know, Jaron, yourself, you had a process of that as well recently.
Yep. Yeah. So I've been, my life is defined by peaks and valleys in terms of income or just career progress in general. But the good thing is that there's a positive trend line over the longer term. So yeah, things might get lean. I'm actually recently coming off a lean period, but the leanest I got was still higher than my highest point, let's say 10 years, 15 years ago. So you always want to track that positive trend line and make sure that there's a progression. And that really helps me get through, because I went through a couple of lean months where money wasn't just coming in, and then all of a sudden you have a windfall. Everything comes in all at once. You're like, oh my God. And then you got to be careful not to spend it all at once, because you're in feast or famine mode, and you have to get really good at just dialing those extremes in. Like, okay, here is my budget regardless of what the income looks like. I'm an advocate of building runways. So typically, I know guys that follow like Dave Ramsey. I think he says something like 3 to 6 months of expenses in the bank account in the U.S. Due to the adjustment and cost of lifestyle down here. 3 to 6 months in the U.S. for me usually ends up being 12 to 18 months down here in Mexico. So I like to have just a good firm runway, and that gives you a bit of breathing room. That also gives you flexibility to go out and try new ventures, to get creative, to do things that maybe might not work. So I am coming off personally a lean period financially, but that's not because I wasn't working. It wasn't because I was screwing around. Yes, we had plenty of fun, as Joel mentioned, but I was trying out new things. And in doing so, I realized, okay, well, the runway's getting kind of lean. I did go back recently and get a full-time job remote, which I don't think there's any shame in that, because essentially that's your seed money to finance the next thing coming. You'll hear guys say like, oh man, you have a job, you need to be an entrepreneur. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't happen overnight. So, and then sometimes you'll hear guys get on you like, oh, we're working your job, but okay, well, yeah, I need income coming in, and you're not financing me. Like now, if you're willing to, we can have a different conversation. But if you're not putting up money, you can really just shut up. So you have to get okay with like, hey, when you live abroad, and a good buddy of mine brought this up the other day. It's like, it's not like when I lived in the States to where I can just go. I grew up on a farm. I can just go home to the farm, and there's always work for me. I'm in pretty good shape. I can walk onto a construction site, and there is always work for me. There is always work when you're in your home country. Legally, I could work down here, but really that would set me even more behind, because I'd make nowhere near what I do with the U.S. salary. So I had to grin and bear it, suck it up for a few months, and get back on the job search. Working remotely, there are different considerations now than there were a few years ago. So I had to redo my entire job search process. For those marketing and sales folks out there, it's literally just building a marketing and sales campaign and then refining the stages down the funnel or across the conversion path. So it took me a little bit to get that going. And then once I got it down, it's a new schema in my head. Once I got it down, then all right, all of a sudden, jobs just start popping up. So I'd say figure out a way to make money even before you decide to go abroad. And I know this isn't necessarily per se an abroad topic, just working remotely in general, but it is a completely different culture, working remotely as it is corporate culture. And employers will ask you that these days too. Hey, what's your experience working abroad? What's your experience with fully distributed teams? What's your experience with asynchronous communication? Because there is a different work culture, and I'm still trying to get adjusted to that, where there's days where I don't feel like I do much, and then there's days where I feel like I'm overworked, but over the longer term, it all averages out. And usually in the remote first cultures, it's more like, okay, they work something similar to an agile process. Okay, here's the weekly or biweekly sprint review. Here's all of your milestones, or here's all of your objectives for this time. Let me know if you need anything in the meantime. We're all on Slack, and then you just check in and then just make sure you get everything done. And then for me, I document everything too. So if someone wants to know, like, hey, document all my meeting notes, document all the discussions, all my task items, any follow-ups, any questions, any resources I need, who I got them from. So that way you have an audit trail, because in an asynchronous work culture, you need to make sure that you do have that audit trail. And there's plenty of workflow automation tools that help you do that too. So I know I'm getting a little off the beaten path, going more down the corporate route, but it is very, very important, especially if you want to live abroad at some point. You have to learn how to make money online. Yes, there will be peaks and valleys, but you do want to make sure that you have something coming in so you're not bleeding or hemorrhaging your cash. That's why I also recommend too, have that runway, because then you can deal with those lean times, but you need to make sure, like now I'm in a mode, I'm not lean anymore, but I'm rebuilding the runway. So it'll be a few more months before I'm back to where I'm like, traveling the world again and jet setting around, and you'll see a lot more fun videos on Instagram once that happens. But you have to be responsible about it too. And again, especially if you're living abroad, because you have no one you can fall back on.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like you really learn. It's almost like getting pushed out into the wild. That's how I like to look at it. And it's like a coming of age thing. That's really how I've experienced it. Like, I'm learning that I don't have anyone else to rely on. I do, like the clients I have, yes, but I really have to get up every day and do the work. And so it's been a great maturity lesson as well. Also learning how to manage my money. So that's kind of the next point I wanted to touch on here, is tracking your expenses. So when I came down at first to see Jaron, I spent lavishly. I was like,
that first month was fun.
That was a lot of fun, a lot of Uber Eats. And I just remember thinking like, because I had saved a lot in the US and I'm like, okay, now I can just ball out. I'm in Mexico. I have $1 million in pesos. And it's like, no, there's a nice conversion, but you still spend money. And so I was getting lean pretty.
Like
It
30
adds up.
bucks here and
Yep.
there, 50 bucks here and there. Oh, it's $100 to go out tonight. But you do that every night. You're like, whoa, I'm actually
Yep.
spending.
2 times the FOGO. I'm like, So I had to learn
Yeah.
how to be mature with my finances. And so I'm going to share with you guys here how I track everything. So I track every single expense that I purchase up to $1. So this is Soriana. I spent 51 cents there. That's a grocery store. I track that because I want to make sure that I'm on top of my finances and I know where every single dollar is going. This might be extreme for a lot of you. You might not have to do this, but I've always kind of struggled with finances, to be honest. I didn't grow up learning maybe the best financial skills. So I go to a recovery program called, well, I can't say the name, but it's for debt. So if you look debt recovery support group, it'll pop up right away. And it really helped me learn. I haven't had debt for a long time, but what it taught me was that I behave as if I have debt. I behave in a scarcity mindset. And I think a lot of folks do that where it's like I spend $1 and sometimes I'm just like, shit, like I can't afford that. It's like, whoa. This is really teaching me how that I can't afford it because everything is here. Like I can see where all the money is going. So Jared, I'm curious, what is your experience with scarcity mindset and all that and having to deal with that?
Yeah, I deal with that every now and then. That comes back. Growing up, I always say in my family, we never went without, but we were always just barely getting by. And then that changed for me I'm the oldest of a handful of siblings. So by the time I got out of the house, my family started doing really well. So that's still new for me. I go home and see my parents, or I see my siblings, or even my extended family. Everyone's doing well. I go home and money's not an issue, but I didn't grow up that way. And since I was out of the house before they started doing really well, for me, it took me a while to catch up, which I'm doing now. But for a while, it's really hard not to live in that, like, oh, I can't afford this, I can't do that. But for me, I've gotten better at realizing that I need to buy my time back. So things like you said, oh my God, I can't spend $1 for that. Even things like Uber Eats, 19 pesos extra for it to get to you in 10 minutes rather than 35 minutes. I'll spend an extra $1.40 to not have my food be cold because that might just ruin my night. So I do afford myself luxuries if I personally benefit from them. Health is a huge one. Fitness is a huge one. Any medical type stuff, all of that gets priority. Yeah, at the time you're like, I recently incurred a medical expense. Like, ooh, I don't really have that in the budget, but 3 months from now, I'm going to be very glad I did that. And as I age longer down the line, that was the correct decision to make, to always invest in your health, always invest in your education, always invest in your well-being, because then that opens you up to make more money in the future. I could be cheap and be like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to get this medical thing done I need done. And then let's say as I age, there's an issue and it exacerbates or it compounds upon itself. When I'm hitting the years where I'm really going to be making peak money, I can't afford that now. I definitely can't afford to let things get out of hand. So you have to get it taken care of now. So I've kind of reframed that mindset that, okay, yeah, maybe I'm spending something I don't want to spend, but I'm investing in myself at all times. And I am my best investment because although I'm hard on myself sometimes, I really never let myself down. Other people let me down all the goddamn time, but I never do. Like if I tell myself I'm going to do something, I do it, and it gets done.
Speaking of Uber Eats drivers, they let you down quite often. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. Health is always a good thing to invest in. When we were in the US, I dropped $1,000 on I got a bunch of supplements. I got a bunch of stuff, that I needed for skincare and stuff. And it's a lot of money spending $1,000. I wasn't expecting to spend that much, but I know that it's going to, pay dividends. I have this gigantic scar on my shoulder from freaking skateboarding, which was so stupid. And I just get $400 shots to try to make sure it doesn't keep growing, because if anyone knows about keloids, it's scar tissue that the body doesn't signal that it's healed. So it keeps growing. And if I don't treat it, it's going to be this huge thing on my shoulder. And I'm just like, all right, I'm going to spend $400 it's crazy. It sucks. I know a lot of Black people have it. And apparently a lot of Asians too. I've seen a couple Mexicans here too with huge, just like this, but just giant scars. And I'm just like,
a lot of them have vitiligo here. Have you noticed that when you're walking around?
What's vitiligo?
Vitiligo is what Michael Jackson had. So it's the loss of pigmentation in the skin, like the whitening of the skin.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see it.
I never
It
thought of
usually
that.
starts at their limbs. Like you'll see them on their hands, and then it works its way up towards the torso. But yeah, I see a lot of that around here.
Okay, Jesus. Well, anyway, before we move on to the next point, I did want to quickly touch back onto this spreadsheet here and just kind of share with you kind of how I map everything out. So I have the date, and each month, as you can see, I've been tracking since October. I basically just restarted. So I have my expenses. So this is stuff that isn't any of these other things. So maybe I'll start with these other things. So I have groceries. Anytime I get food, I mark it in there. Dating, that's in a very important card category.
Yeah, track that number.
Absolutely. When I first came down, Jaron, I was like buying girls Ubers and stuff. And like, I remember just one girl, she lived like an hour away. So it costed like $45 there and back. I'm just like, I'm not doing that ever again. So we got dating, eating out, which is, these are my cheat days, if you haven't noticed. And then I get the total. Obviously, I haven't been tracking that too much. I'm not going to show you guys the bank balance, and then I have my money in category. And this is, I would really suggest possibly, if you're unsure of where money is going, maybe give this a shot for a month or two. And something's happened for me spiritually too. It's like, I'm not just like floundering around with cash anymore. It's like, there's like a maturity around my finances, and I'm being rewarded by it. And so that's another thing too. I think going to this stream here, like lessons learned with remote work. If you behave responsibly and you take care of yourself, you do those things that Jaron was talking about, right? Like your health, put your health first. Like you just become more of an attractive person. One, more people are going to want to do business with you. And two, the universe, I don't know if you believe in this stuff, guys, but I certainly do. I don't, sometimes I say God, sometimes I say higher power. It doesn't matter really. It rewards you for that good behavior. In a way.
Yeah, and then on the money tracking thing, I started off at that point too. I run a lot more money through my accounts because I have multiple revenue streams, and I do kind of more complex banking transactions. So I use an app. I like Mint. It's by the company Intuit. Okay. They also own TurboTax. So this last year they had a feature where they plug everything into your taxes for you, especially if you're writing things off. So it'll categorize it for you, it'll plug you in. You still have to go through and refine it, but I have my Mint set up so everything's categorized, all my income streams, all the money coming in, money going out, and then really just gives you a nice colorful dashboard so you can visually see what your finances are doing. So no matter how you track it, when it comes to money, make sure you track it. It's the same thing with fitness, like track calories in versus calories out. How do I lose weight? Calories in versus calories out. Well, you do all this complicated stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you have to start with the basics. Complicated stuff won't work if you can't do the basics. So if you're more basic, doing the spreadsheet thing, or as you get up there and have multiple accounts and banking type scenarios, maybe look for a tool that's a little more robust for you. But you do need to track your finances. I think that's a very valid and important main point that people, especially people going abroad, I see people wash out of here all the damn time. And for me, I'll admit, there's times when things get lean and then your brain starts to map out those worst case scenarios. You're like, oh, what would I do? Like I left home 20 years ago. Like I don't even know how I'd go back home. Like I've always been on my own. Like that would be a major identity crisis. Yeah, my pockets. I'd say segueing into another point, one that is really difficult at first, and I alluded to this earlier, when companies ask you, hey, do you have experience with asynchronous cultures or working on fully distributed teams? That is time management. So when I was younger, I used to never keep a schedule. I'd hear entrepreneur podcasts like, oh, make sure you schedule everything. Block out all your time. If you can measure it, you can manage it. Make sure you track your time. And especially because, for example, I have a full-time job now, but I have things with coaching clients. I have things with Joel. I have content things. I have commitments around here. I have a dating life. I have a gym life. I have social events that I go to. So I run multiple calendars, and it's nice. A lot you can sync them, especially if they're on like a Gmail or Google Calendar type environment. There's third-party tools too. So guys, if you click on that link in the description down below, you can book me for an intro coaching call. That Calendly syncs to all my other calendars. So you need to set that up. You need to not only do manage your money, you need to manage your time. And it's especially difficult, again, when if you're working a 100% remote job. What happens is you have to manage multiple calendars across multiple time zones. So like, hey, where's so-and-so located? Oh, they're in Ireland. This person's in India. This person's on the West Coast. Well, they're based on the West Coast, but they're actually in California this week. And there is kind of a culture that you're cognizant of your coworkers' time. When you go in the interview phase, and we'll cover a lot more of these topics on this channel of like actually how to find a good remote job, because some of them will try to micromanage you and say, oh, we work on this time zone. Like we work on New York time. We don't care if it's 6 a.m. in California. This is our first meeting. That works for some people. Some people it might not. I have a good culture right now at this full-time job to where we respect each other's time zones, but you have to mentally keep a note of who's in what time zone. I actually take physical notes or in like just a Google Doc of who is where and what, and then I ask questions like, what's your preferred method of communication? A good sign is if it's just Slack. Okay, but you set the expectation too. Hey, if you Slack me, there's other things I have going on. I manage multiple clients, I have multiple calendars, I have multiple things going on. But in this last role, the newest one, I've found a team to where we're all in the same boat. So we do have rules that, like, don't put something on my calendar for today. You know, put it at least 48 hours out so I can move other things around and plan for it if I need to. So you set those expectations. You hopefully find a good team to where everyone's on the same page, and then you can live that asynchronous lifestyle, which for me, it's still weird sometimes. I'm used to the 9-to-5 corporate thing. Prior to that, I was in college. You had a regimented schedule. Public school for God knows how many years, regimented schedule. And then all of a sudden there's days where sometimes I have meetings at 6 a.m. Sometimes I have meetings that start at 8 a.m. Sometimes I have no meetings. Sometimes I think it was 5 p.m. when we started this, and then I'll have a meeting later tonight. So because you're dealing with people all over the world. So you're trying to find a time that kind of works best for you. Like, okay, hey, this is at the very end of my day, but it's like beginning of my day. So there will be times like, hey, can you do 8 a.m. your time? Like, I don't know, it's kind of early. It's like, yeah, bro, but it's like 8 p.m. my time. Like, okay, yeah, let's go. We'll make a compromise. So you have to be very cognizant of where your time is going, not only your money, how to manage your time, and how to be respectful of other people's time. Because when you play nicely with people, they will do more business with you, and things are just a lot easier.
Amen, brother. And hey, speaking of speaking nice, hey, just want to big thank you to Neanderthal 2020, man, for the super chat, dude. Hell appreciate it. First time I've ever seen a super chat. So, dude, we are gonna enjoy a dinner on you tonight, and we'll be thinking about you, bro. So thank you so much, man.
Coming down the pipe.
Hey, man. Oh, thank you, brother. Seriously, man, it means a lot. And it's like, like you said, like managing your time, being able to show up for things like this. It's like it's part of being responsible and being able to run your own life. I think that's a great point, Jaron, that you want to be on top of your time, right? Because time, Jaron and I say it almost every day. Like we run into each other in the living room. So
what's
we
on
live
the docket?
Together. You guys,
what are you doing this afternoon? What does your day look like?
And then around 4 p.m., we almost every day, it's like, wow, this day just flew by. So time will just go very quickly. And so for me, I like to do all my work in the morning. First thing I do, I want to get all my stuff done so that I can go play. That's how I like to look at it. I can go on dates. We can go to the gym. We can go do other fun stuff. I used to be growing up friends first, chores later kind of guy. And it just backfired every time because I would always hang out with my friends first. And then around 8 o'clock would roll around and be like, shit, I have to go home. And like, damn it, I wish I would have done my chores first. So it really taught me to get your work done ASAP.
I was always the opposite growing up. I was always get everything done immediately. So I always say, people are like, wow, you're really motivated. You work really hard. I'm like, no, I'm actually really lazy, but I'm practical. So the harder I work and the sooner I get things done that need to be done, then the quicker I can relax and go out and have fun and do things I actually enjoy doing in life. So I'm the same way you are. I usually get up when the sun comes up. My first meetings typically start at 8 a.m. my time. Usually 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I'm typically up, on the computer, mapping out my day, responding to messages, emails, and then my meetings are usually in the morning, about midday, go to the gym, and then the afternoon is like creative stuff. So it's late afternoon, early evening for us here, but we're doing creative stuff now because I got all my work done before noon. And keep that in mind too, when you're working with a remote type company or remote type clients, again, where are they located? This company I'm with now is really cool. They're based in Ireland. So they're 6-7 hours ahead of me. So my days never go, I never have obligations. I'm still working during the day, but I don't have obligations in terms of conferences or webinars or events or like calls or anything like that past like 10, 11 a.m. my time, which is really quite nice because that opens my entire afternoon up.
Oh yeah, that's so sweet, man. I remember when I was in Poland, I would call you guys and it would be like, you'd be like 6 hours ahead. So like one time it was like 10 for you guys. It was like I think it was 4 a.m. for me, but I had to be on the call. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate being on the opposite end.
Oh, when I was in the
For
Middle
me,
East this summer, I was doing calls with you. It's like
yeah,
midnight my time. I've got a beer in my hand. Like I normally don't drink in the workday, but like
yeah.
we went out to
Nah.
dinner and the night's just getting started. So I'm popping in, checking in, but it's midnight here.
It's so funny too because we're like doing a talk on Spread University. It's like Jared's just having his slamming back a beer, but
It's like,
no,
hey
I'm just
guys, I'm
kidding.
in Greece. Just we got a good comment right here. Brandon, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while either. So I did all your LinkedIn tips and finally got a job. Hell yeah!
Let's
Congratulations.
go.
Still remote, going to W-2, better fit for me. And guys, if you haven't done a fully remote job before, it is kind of a mind shift. I feel like I'm not working hard enough because I've worked for like big four firms. I've worked for defense contractors. I've worked for some of the world's largest companies prior to the remote thing where you're in the office, people are breathing down your neck. Where is that? Why are you on this call? Why'd you sign your email that way? Did you send this off yet? Did you get back to so-and-so? That micromanagement, like very toxic corporate type culture. So that was kind of ingrained in me. And then now a lot of the remote first companies, they do have a different culture, the asynchronous culture to where, hey, be sure you're connected during the day, be fairly responsive with your Slacks, keep your calendar synced and up to date, be cognizant of other people's time, and then just make your calls and make your milestones and live your life, love your life. So it is kind of a mind shift. Brianna, I'd be curious to know if you're going through that or if you had remote experience before, or feel free to let us know, what kind of job it is without giving away too much detail. But I'm definitely glad to hear that because, guys, if you've never done the remote work thing before, again, it's not for everyone. I know a lot of people, they need that structure. I used to be that way too at first, didn't really quite get it. So you have to be, maybe this is the next point, you have to be accountable, not only to others, but to yourself, because there are days where you can wake up and you just don't feel like doing anything that day. And you can get away with that remotely, but if you do that and you let other people down and then their projects get behind and that gets back to someone else, then you're going to create a problem for yourself. So it really comes down to just how you structure your day. But there is the flexibility with remote work to where you can do whatever you want to do because everyone else you're working with also lives their lives that way. You just have to
Jared,
find that middle ground and make that compromise. Yep.
you're having some terrible static. I don't know if it's just me. If someone could comment if you guys are hearing it as well. Yeah, yeah. I just got like, dang. Maybe switch off your mic and then come back on.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick.
Okay.
Here, I'll let you carry it, and then I'll come back.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, echo and static. What's up, T Smash? Good to see you. Yeah, we'll hop in with D'Angelo here. Do the homework before you go out. Mentality. I was raised with. Okay, nice, man. I learned to do more effective. Absolutely, man. Jaron seems to have been like a workhorse from the get go. So he was on a farm, and he grew up on a farm, and a lot of my friends that were on farms had a really good work ethic. I grew like middle class America, so I was kind of coddled. And if you've done any of that work and stuff, you realize that you kind of have to grow up. And yeah, so hell yeah, and Delangelo, good to see you, brother. T Smash, good to see you as always. S27, nice to see you as well. We have okay, so Brian SAAS for healthcare, no complaints. Cool. Yeah, a lot of
is a good one. Fintech's a good one. Any of SaaS, any of those tech companies, IT companies, anything that works in the computer space or information space, a lot of those are going remote first. Now if you have a job like you're a contractor on a construction site, it might be a little harder, which is why I tell young guys and they ask me, what kind of career do I want to do? It's like, well, how do you vision your life, 10, 20, 30 years down the road? Again, a lot of guys like that. One of my brothers works in agriculture. He lives in the middle of nowhere, U.S., is crushing it. He loves agriculture. I grew up on a farm too. I heard you say that before I left. I enjoy the farm. When I go home, my little cousins are on the farm, like they're in the middle of harvest. Like, yeah, I'll go spend an afternoon with my little cousin, doing harvest, kind of show them the ropes, show them how to manage the Mexicans because I speak Spanish, and a lot of them don't yet. But for me as a kid, I knew that wasn't for me. I knew I wanted to travel the world. I knew I wanted to live somewhere warm. I don't like the cold. I knew I wanted to be in good shape and have an active dating life and travel to really cool places and meet really cool people and not be bound to a physical location. So I structured my career well before everything went remote, knowing that it was going to go remote at some point. So digital marketing by trade at the corporate level, go for SaaS companies, fintech companies, consulting type companies. Now I'm at the point where for the last 6-7 years of my career, I've just been a consultant at the corporate level.
Yeah, man, I'm the exact opposite of you, man. I started just regular jobs. My first job was at McDonald's because my dad caught me smoking weed, hence the origin of Sobriety University. And I do all my work through just, I do video editing and I do coaching as well for addiction recovery. So first off, if anyone's creating a channel and needs some help creating videos and stuff, or needs some help managing your brand, I'm here for you. And would definitely be happy to hop on a call and see if I can be of help in any way. All of Jaren's videos I've gotten the privilege to make, and it's just a joy being able to do that and offer that service. So I'm quite the opposite, where I basically manage my schedule from sun up to sundown, and it's a lot of fun. I love the just adrenaline of it, the rush, the knowing that I don't have to report to anybody. The only one I have to report to is this guy, and universe and God, or however you want to put it. For me, it's a lot of fun, and so I think maybe let's dive into like some other like kind of good tips that people can start incorporating right away.
Yeah, let's do that.
To work remote.
First, been in the same position as Jaren, still do as today. Just hard to get out of it after being absolutely free and work on my own schedule. Yeah, for me, it took a while for that too, because my schedule is always set by someone else, and now you get to set your own schedule. Or coming into new remote roles, to take the lead and let people know, hey guys, if you Slack me, I will be back with you. I will be back to you within 2 hours. If you set a meeting within 48 hours, there is a chance. There's not a 100% chance it'll get selected. My calendars are synced. They are updated. If it's 48 hours out, then the calendar is updated, and you can rest assured that I'll be on the meeting. And then typically set your times for when you're available and you're not available. So for me, I always tell people like, hey, I might take 2 or 3 hours to get back to you, but I am connected, or I'm available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. my time. And then everyone knows this because they all work this way too. During the middle of the day, I go to the gym at some point. It's not like 12 p.m. every day. Sometimes I go at 10 a.m. Sometimes I go at 2 p.m. Sometimes I go at 5 p.m. It's really just what can fit into your schedule. So I make sure that I am accessible, but there are times when I am unaccessible as well. Like, I need to sleep, and then I have my morning routine and need to kind of get there mentally and map out the day in my head and do my meditations and all those kind of early rising morning type practices. So make sure that you don't get lost in the world of remote work, and you do have time for yourself too. And then a lot of times, really, when I'm not available, a lot of times outside of hours, I am still doing stuff for myself. Maybe it'll be a buddy or a coworker that wants to hit me up and talk about something. Like, I'm technically not on the clock per se, but yeah, I'll make time for people. But for example, Joel and I are both into music. We're both into the gym. So usually for me, it's around 8 p.m. or so, or later in the evening, to where I need to get an hour playing music in. That for me, that mentally is disconnecting me from the digital world and bringing me back into my analog world, so that I can then go to bed, because I sleep in the analog world. And I think that might be that might be a good way to sum this up. The difference between your digital life and your analog life. And I was actually talking to this young one sitting next to me earlier, like her generation. I'm like, you guys have never lived an analog life. You only live in the digital world. And it's really important to make sure that you live in your actual physical, tangible, touch, see, smell, engage all the senses in the real world. And it's really hard to do that sometimes, especially when you're making your money online. You're like, well, I can generate another lead. I can do another video. I can send another email. There's always going to be more work. So you have to also set boundaries with other people. Hey, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., I'm accessible. That doesn't mean I'm available. It means I'm accessible Monday through Friday. Weekends are on a case-by-case basis. And outside of that, let me know ahead of time. I can certainly make time for you if that doesn't work, but you have to set those boundaries.
I like how you put that, man. Boundaries. You have to have those boundaries around your time and around your space. Especially if you have an addictive personality, it can be very easy to get consumed by the work. And I'm sure all of you have watched Alex Hormozy. My mentor was like, hey, man, maybe you should stop watching him, because every time you watch him, you feel bad that you're not working. And so I
feel bad too. Like, I don't have $100 million yet. I'm a loser. I'm like, no, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing really good. Yeah.
And gotcha. So you don't want to fall into the trap of workaholism, work addiction, which is actually a real thing. And it can be very dangerous, because you go into those groups and people spend their whole lives chasing the dollar. And then they're, 60 years old and they're like, well, my life is just gone. So make sure you're living a fun life and you're remembering why you do it. That's why I came down here, because I don't just want to work in America and live the 9 to 5, get a house, and then die. That's like kind of the trajectory. And that scares the shit out of me. So it's love how you said that, man. Boundaries around your time, boundaries around other people's time, and make sure you're filling your own cup, because if your cup is overflowing, or it, no, you want your cup overflowing. If your cup is empty, if you're angry and you're bitter and you're hating your job, and you go try and date, and you go try have relationships, friendships, that energy is going to carry with you. So for me, I guess I like to go to the park. That's my escape. I like to go and just go out in nature, go for walks, just kind of see the world. One of the addictions I've dealt with actually is tech addiction. It's a real addiction. I know. I'm 7 years younger than Jaron, so we hit the tech pretty hard at a young age. And
when did you have? At what age did you have internet in your house, or did you get your first computer?
God,
or were you born with one?
I would say 8. About 8 years old, and I
think I was like in middle school or going into high school. I think when we got like we got our first computer. I was in 5th grade, but like internet was terrible, so we didn't have like internet and all that stuff till probably like good internet, high speed internet, or higher speed, like 8th, 9th grade, something like that. But smartphones didn't come out until I was like almost out of college.
God, when did smartphones? I remember the Razor. That
2007.
Was like yeah. Remember that thing? That thing was so sick. That's still like the best phone I think I've ever used.
I had one of those, with the custom ringtones.
Oh, that's so sick. Yeah, and so tech is just a huge, addiction. And there's the average person spends 17 years of their life watching TV. That's crazy. That's a lot of years. It's a lot of years you can go out and enjoy life and have adventures. So I would I guess my tip would be to, first thing you do in the morning, don't go on your phone. This has been huge for me.
That's so hard.
Yeah, dude. I used to like sleep with my phone. My computer would be next to my head, and then I wake up and I would just roll over and just continue what I was doing. So first thing I do, I put my phone and my computer over like on the other side of the room, so it's not even close to me, so I can't even get those signals in when I'm sleeping. And then the first thing I do when I wake up, I just lay there for like 5 minutes, just kind of before I even get out of bed. Just kind of process your thoughts, because as soon as I hit that phone, my like brain just goes into a different frequency. Have you experienced that? Like you just forget about reality.
It's like I mentioned back, like I used to drink quite a bit when I was younger, to where like you're just having a rough day, and when that first sip of booze hits your lips, like chemically it's not even in your body, it hasn't been processed by your liver yet, it's not in your bloodstream, all it has to do is hit your lips and your brain's like, oh yeah, it's on. Yes. So I think that same thing happens with your phone. I'm curious as to what your morning routine is, because I go through a couple mental processes. I'm a lucid dreamer, so usually I wake up naturally. I set the alarm as a buffer in case I sleep over, which rarely happens. So usually, like by the time my alarm goes off, I'm already in the shower and getting ready and coming out here to go to work. But my mental routine, usually I wake up when the birds start chirping or the sun comes up, or, maybe the room starts warming up, you just wake up naturally, your circadian rhythm is pretty cool. So like I usually wake up with the sun or along the lines of the sun, but I still have some time until like technically I need to be up. So I'll go through a mental checklist. I'll do a couple things, go through, plan out the day, what's on the docket for the day. Mentally visualize myself going through it. Sometimes I'll still have my eyes closed, especially if there are things I don't want to do. I'll walk myself through the process. So that way, when you're in the moment, you've already done it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality a lot of times. So use that to your advantage. So when I'm in a situation, I've already done it. Like I already know what I'm doing. So yeah, this task sucks, but I'm on autopilot because I already played it through my head this morning. Anything you need to take care of, any people you need to talk to, anything, whatever. But I kind of mentally map out my day. And then I do a systems check. So I go through my body. How does everything physically feel? Do I have a headache? Is my neck sore? Am my arm sore? Do I have a bruise? Do I have mosquito bites? Do I have whatever's going on? So I do an all systems check is what I call it, like an all physical systems check, emotional systems, spiritual systems, all that. But it's like when you start up a computer and it's booting up. That's kind of what I'm doing mentally. And then one thing that's been huge for me, I didn't always do it, I started doing it a few years ago, is a gratitude check. So I wake up and I have a little bit of a headache. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Like before I'd be like, oh, my head's kind of throbbing. Where'd that come from? What the hell? I got good sleep. Oh, today's going to suck. It's going to be terrible. Nope. Like I am grateful that I work from home. I have a big, beautiful California king bed. I have these beautiful views of Mexico City here, have awesome friends in my life and my dating life. There's no lack of love at all. So like, okay, my my brain is sending a signal that my head doesn't feel right. Well, I can put that in another little mental box. My head still hurts, but it doesn't bother me. I can just put that in another little box. Maybe figure out why. Like, did I drink the night before? I'm not usually a big drinker. I'll just have a couple if I do it and sip on them slowly. Is there something else going on? Did I maybe overtrain? Did I not stretch well enough? What is that? And then you figure that out, and then you're like, okay, lesson learned. I'm not going to do that again. And then you deal with, I'm just using the headache as an example. You deal with the headache, maybe take an ibuprofen, maybe like there's times where you and I are out playing around. We get home late. I go right to bed. I'm like, why does my head hurt? I'm like, oh, I'm dehydrated because we live in high altitude. You have to stay hydrated.
True.
It's like, oh, I'll just drink a bunch of electrolytes. I've been smashing them here all day long because I had a medical procedure last night. So definitely dehydrated. Just keep the fluids in there. And then, all of a sudden headache goes away. But I think that the all systems check, but the gratitude check is a big one too. Because otherwise you can let really stupid things ruin your day. Like, oh my God, I have to talk to this person. Well, no, you don't have to talk to that person. Like, why are you doing business with that person if you don't want to talk to them? If they're going to be a constant, I know you've gone through this before too. Like, why are you giving yourself constant headaches? It started off as a little example. Now it's more of a metaphor. But I find that just that mental morning process, whatever that looks like for you, make sure you do that.
That's so funny. We've lived next to each other for 6 months, and I've always wondered, I'm like, what is he doing in there at 8 and 7, 8 in the morning? So I'll hear you like scuffle around and stuff. So nice. I appreciate you sharing with me what you're doing. I think that's really good.
I've got a morning routine. Yeah. And if I don't have any early morning meetings, sometimes I'll just take my laptop into my bed, put on a podcast, and then just click away. I actually like working that. Like, I have the full setup out here in the office, but sometimes, like, you know what, I'm kind of tired and I don't have any calls or any people that I need to be face to face with. So I'll just stay in my PJs and just knock out some admin work, or I'll clean up my inbox, or I'll get back to this thing I've been putting off, or I'll review my budget or look at my finances, or trouble tickets, like Jira tickets for, I work for a tech company. So that kind of work that you don't really like doing, but I appreciate doing it. It's like, oh, I don't have to do calls. So I can just put on a podcast. I can just tank top and boxers and just lay in bed and just get stuff done.
Podcast and chill, bro. That's what's up. Yeah, man. That's great. I love the gratitude. I got to start working on that more. So thanks for the reminder.
And remember, with gratitude, reframe things. So that's an easy place to start. When I was in college, I have a master's in marketing. So we had a class one time, like reframing headlines or spinning headlines, like the propagandists do. Which, if you watch mainstream media, you are watching propaganda. People like me create that for people like you. So keep that in mind. But we had an activity, and this was, I'm dating myself. This was back like during the Iraq War. So we had a headline like 38 people blown up in Baghdad bazaar or something like that, and then I've recrafted the headline: 38 million people alive and kicking in Iraq. Same story.
That's
but completely different headline. That's an extreme example.
Yeah, gratitude's super important, guys, and that's
like,
probably.
I have to go to the gym today. No, I get to go to the gym today. I'm able-bodied. I'm in good shape. I'm in good health. I can stand up. I can breathe. Like, I'm thankful. Just my eyes are awake and I'm here. So
yeah, guys, gratitude is a really important lesson for working remote, because there's going to be times where things aren't going your way. You know, maybe a client call doesn't pan out. I know that's happened for me. I've had like three potential new clients, and none of them want to sign up for coaching. I'm just like, damn it. So it's important in those moments. I got to be like, okay, I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for people even, wanting to have a conversation to begin with. And then I think one of the most important things, one of the important lessons is to remember of how you're being of service. So in terms of gratitude that I could have been of service and helped another person. When you can shift your mindset to what I can get, to what I can give, that changes a lot of things. And it's something I'm still working on. I'm not perfect at it by any means, but I know that when I'm in that spirit of giving, it's just so much more pure, holistic. The results are better for all parties. And there's not that like anxious energy. So I quickly want to touch on my morning routine. So I wake up, I take a piss, obviously. And usually when I take a piss, that's like what wakes me up, because I'm up for like 2 minutes, and that's enough for me to be like, okay, I can't fall back asleep.
Hold on. When you have to piss in the middle of the night, do you try to do it with the lights off? Because it's like, if I turn the lights on, it's going to wake me up. So you try to echolocate the toilet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have it in my head of like the route to take to the toilet. So
I do too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
locked in
Toilet
because
game.
like I'm still in a semi-lucid dream state, so I don't want to break myself out of that. So you just kind of
Oh,
go find
exactly.
your way too. Yeah, that's funny.
Guys, if you want some toilet game vids, let us know. We'll whip them up. But
Oh yeah,
um,
all toilet talk here.
so I, so I do my meditation as well. So I'll just lay there for like 10, 15 minutes, and then I'll start getting on my phone. I'll respond to maybe Instagram DMs. If I have any dates, I'll make sure those are like confirmed and set those, and then I'll start working. And oh, big one, guys. I drink a glass of water. That is huge because you are dehydrated the first thing in the morning. Just chug a glass of water. Take some vitamin D too. You want to take vitamin D. I don't know if you guys take that or what your experience is with it, but right in the morning because it's basically the sun, right? So I used to take it at night and I couldn't sleep. I was like, why can't I sleep? Like, well, I'm taking sunlight.
Your circadian
right
rhythm's off. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So also, guys, vitamin D, huge tip. It's going to help your mood. And if you have acne on your body, it helps clear that up. So just a side note there. But again, we're really into the health stuff. So any chance I can get to share about that, I get really excited. And then after that, I usually, I walk out and I'll see Jaron. I'll say what's up, and we'll get our day going. So
what's on the docket? I ask you that every morning.
What's on the docket? This
on the
morning,
docket
I actually woke up to you on a call. So I was in a beautiful sleep, and I hear, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?"
I couldn't sleep last night, so I had general anesthesia last night. Which when you're coming when you're coming out of it, you're like, oh, super groggy. I'm like, hey, put me back under. Like I was in like pretty deep state. But then by the time I get home, it's like your sleep clock resets. So it was 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Like I guess I'm just not sleeping tonight. I think I fell asleep like 4 or 5 a.m. Up at my normal time. It doesn't matter what time I fall asleep. I am up at my normal time always. My body will not let me sleep past my normal time. So I'm kind of sleep deprived right now. But I was like technically under for a few hours yesterday in surgery. So like, is that restorative sleep? I don't know. I'm gonna sleep really well tonight. Let's just say that.
Baby.
And Mr. Addiction, when you have a surgery, no caffeine, no drugs, no nothing. So I'm coming off all that too.
Well, they put you on what, like oxytocin or whatever, or oxytocin. What they put you on, benzos or some shit?
No, I didn't. No, mine. That's all antibiotics and vitamins and proteins and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I don't take any of that shit. Even if the doctor gives it to me, I won't take it. Yeah, it's mostly antibiotics. No, they put me on it was fentanyl. That's what they use down here. So that's the fun one. Yeah, which I don't like them. I don't like them putting that stuff in my system. But I'm kind of. Ooh, energy is just kind of in and out. The sleep clock's a bit off today. Yeah.
They just gave you fentanyl. Like, I don't know if you guys have like done much research into like addiction, but that's one of the worst addictions. It kills so many people. And they're just like aiming it out like crazy, bro. Like that's
why I don't like anesthesia. At first I'm like, yeah, no, you don't need to put me under. They're like, this is really gonna hurt. I'm like, and then I was looking around like the medical system. They have really good medical stuff here, but like it's not super clean and bright lights and nice AC and smells sterile. Like it looks like Mexico. And then there's an operating table. You're like, yeah, I'm kind of sketched out. Just put me under. And if I don't come out of it, then whatever.
Yeah.
Like they literally sent me home. They sent me home with an IV. Like I'm just sitting here changing my own IV bags. Cause you need to be in the hospital. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. This hospital's so uncomfortable. I'm not staying here. Like you can come to my house and check up on me. So I have a nurse coming to check on me every day.
Yeah. Guys, DM Jared if you want more on that story because it's a crazy story. But
yeah, if you want Mexico medicine stories, yeah, I've got a couple.
Well, cool. Let's hit a couple comments here. We're coming close.
Yeah, go through it.
Actually, have to bounce pretty soon, and then we'll each do I think one more maybe like last tip for working remote. And then we can.
Yeah, I've got to change an IV. So I've got to change an IV bag, and the nurse is on the way. So yep. Yeah, don't want air in my blood.
The T smash. I found a semi-strict schedule and boundaries with your schedule. Really lets women know that they aren't the focus. Oh, touche, man. You got to put your purpose first.
We didn't even touch. We didn't even really touch on that topic today. So when you're building out your schedule, like I have blocks in my schedule too, to where they can fit into. And then again, like I'm available like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sometimes there's ones in the neighborhood like, hey, you know what? I'm free at 2 p.m. I get a class at this time. Can I come over for an hour? And then you just build the rest of your schedule around that. Everything still gets done. And then I hired a business coach years ago. So he had me build my schedule. Like there's time blocks. Like for example, I need 4 hours of deep focus work today. That could be 8 a.m. That could be 3 p.m. That could be 10 p.m. Sometimes I'll stay up really late working and then I'll sleep in a bit. But you structure your days. All the things I need to get done. What's the time allotment? What's the priority? And then you just move these blocks around. So dating fits in there somewhere too. I think that is a good one. It's not your priority. Usually I build out my schedule first, and then I'll hit up dating options and like, okay, here's the times I'm free, and then let her choose a time you're free.
I love that, man. Yeah, you got to have structures around your dating too, and we can do a podcast as well on dating.
That's a whole nother topic. Yeah, we can do that.
T-Smash, I know too. If I remember, you're an Asian guy, so if you ever want to do a dating as an Asian podcast, let me know. We can rip that up because
I think T-Smash. I think you're actually native, which sometimes they get confused for Asians. There's the Asiatic people. There's Asiatic looking people down here. You're like, oh no, they're indigenous.
We're canceled.
Yeah, I know you. I know you've heard it. I know you've heard it. They call them chinitos. Yeah, from the eyes. Okay. Yep.
Well, T-Smash. Offer still stands if you're Asian. You want to talk about it. So native bro. Yep. Money's game. Dope. And then we have S27. A lot of people in the North America are vitamin D deficient. I'm surprised vitamin D supplements are encouraged more. Guys, yeah, absolutely, man. It's like such a secret hack. And the Spartan is some base. I think it was 95% of people that got COVID in that first rush were all vitamin D deficient. It was like on the Joe Rogan podcast. So that just says how important vitamin D is for your immune system, for your happiness, your mental health, for acne, as I mentioned before, for sleep, because it helps you get in that better circadian rhythm. So I definitely recommend checking out vitamin D and getting on a supplement routine if you haven't. I take 15,000 IUs a day, which is a lot, and I'm in it's sunny every day, so especially in the Midwest, man. S27, I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, which is by Chicago. So if you know the Midwest, it's pretty cloudy most of the year and pretty snowy. So I was definitely vitamin D deficient for sure. And
then so guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have to take, if you do a D3, it has to be combined with K2. I believe that's for bioavailability type purposes. So yeah, I take these every morning too. It's part of the morning routine. I do the glass of water with like apple cider vinegar, like some like cayenne pepper, other like lime, kind of like a diuretic, just to like clean out your blood. And then I take all my vitamins too.
Oh, good stuff. See, and you can get vitamin D separate, but you want to get it with K or get a K supplement, because what vitamin D does is it will build up calcium in the bloodstream, and the K will combat that, so you don't get that buildup and you don't have clogged arteries. So
you don't want to do that. I had a scare the other day. Like a test came back like you have clogged arteries, or like your left ventricle's not working. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Took a bunch of other tests. And like, no, it turns out it's genetic. Like you just have a slight delay for like the signal that fires this left ventricle. Like you have no plaque, you have no nothing, but it was a bit of a scare because I have a really clean diet. I'm really into fitness. Like there is no reason I should have any sort of heart problems unless it's genetic or like, some underlying condition. And they're like, no, it's entirely genetic. You're born that way. Everything's fine. It's like, but the machine is calibrated to a point to where it submits an error. So I was like, oh no, like I don't have plaque in my blood. No, I don't.
Shit. At least they didn't say testicle. You're like, wait, ventricle? No, testicle.
We're going to have to surgically remove both your testicles. That thought did go through my head last night because they were so unorganized. They didn't have my medical charts or any of the payment receipts or anything. Like when the surgeon came in and like he had no idea who I was, why I was there, what procedure he was doing. I was like, so right as she's putting right as she's like putting me under, I'm just like, I pray to God I don't wake up and they like gave me a sex change operation or something, because that surgeon does do those here. I'm like, oh no, like please don't mix up the charts. Everything was so unorganized. I woke up, I'm like, whew. Twig and berries are still there. Like I'm good.
We were joking about that before. I'm like, Jaron, what if you just woke up and your dick was gone? You'd be like, fuck. Like that's how they wanted to put you under, so they could just like get rid of you. They know right. You're up to Mexico, man. They know you're not in.
They've seen the channel. Like, yeah, we're gonna neuter this guy.
It's government ordered.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I think let's close off with a couple more. A last tip from each.
Yeah, some neutering jokes.
Some more neutery jokes. My last tip is going to be surround yourself with people that are also on the same path or a similar path. It sounds like most of you here in the chat are also on that journey. So much respect to you guys. I know living with Jaron for me has been very helpful because it just, you just get in that zone, you get in that flow, you realize one, you can do it. I think that's the big thing. I'm like, okay, I can make money online and live and sustain myself and have a great life. So it motivates you as well.
And like they say, like your vibe attracts your tribe, and then you become like the 5 people you surround yourself with. So when you start surrounding yourself people that are on the same mission as you, same with dating, same with any health, whatever it might be, you just start to, I mean, we're competitive by nature too. So you're like, I don't want to see freaking this guy just like completely leave me behind. Like I'm going to do the work to keep up a little bit. So there's a bit of that as well. When we're in the gym, there's plenty of times when I'm working out with Jaron where I want to stop, but I'm like, dude, I'm not going to stop. I'm like such a bitch. Like, I'll push through the extra sets, fuck, and then you feel great afterwards. So last piece of advice for me is to surround yourself with people that are also doing it, to learn from them.
I think that's a good one too. And then I think again, guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Be sure to leave any comments down below in the video, here in the chat, like, subscribe, share, recommend this to everyone. All the love is appreciated here. But I know a lot of the topics I cover for a lot of people, because I meet a lot of you guys when you come down here, like, hey, I'm going to be in Mexico City, let's hang out. And a lot of times it's really easy to watch someone on the internet and think that's impossible. There's no way to do that. I get people in the comments to be like, oh, Jaron doesn't live in Mexico. I was like, that's Mexico City right outside the window there. Like, that's a pretty well-known building. Like, look it up, like it's right there. I'm not that tech savvy to have like a CGI created background. These things are fucking plastic things I got off of Amazon. So, So what you really need to do is open your mind, really tap into yourself to understand, like, what is it you want, and then find people who are already doing it. Because like Joel said in the gym thing, there are the ideas I had in my head before to where I thought it was unbelievable until I hung out with someone who's doing it, and it's just their life. They don't even think about it. Yeah. Or little mental things that I've overcome. Like, for example, in my career, I remember years ago, I was like, oh, $100,000, that's a lot of money. And for me, I set that as like an impossible milestone. And then there's one time, I think I was making like 62K at the time. I was like, you know what? My next job is going to be over 100K. I almost doubled my income from one day to the next, but I had to find people that were doing it. I'm like, oh my God, okay, it's not unattainable. These people are doing it. And then in my head, make that the new benchmark. And it's really funny that when you change your belief system, how your reality just kind of quickly matches it. So I know a lot of times I'll talk about like the dating topics, the lifestyle thing, the fitness thing I have down. I used to be obese and now I'm very much not obese. All of these things, these were new beliefs that I had to upgrade in my head. I had to convince myself it was possible. That's the first step, and that's the hardest for a lot of guys, is they don't think it's possible. Once you truly convince yourself it's possible, believe it's possible, then you become that person, and then to the point where like, I will never go below that point again, then it just becomes a part of who you are, and it's on to the next thing. So that's a process that works well for me. Again, try it out for you. If you don't have that process or a similar one built in, if it works for you, great, keep doing it. If not, look for another one. But you have to be able to visualize these things and actually convert them into reality. And that starts with opening your mind. Again, like Joel mentioned, who are the people you're hanging out with? A lot of times you'll hear voices in your head. Well, you could never do that. Is that your mom's voice? Is that your dad's voice? Is that your judging grandpa's voice? Is that your high school best friend's voice who let you down time and time again and never really did anything with his life? Why are you listening to these voices? Listen to your voice. Your higher self will never lead you astray. So tap into that. Get rid of all the noise. If I listened to all the noise, like when I first started losing weight, like, oh yeah, you're just fat, you're always going to be fat, I wouldn't be 37 with a fucking six-pack year-round banging telenovela models. That would not be my reality. I would still be hanging out with these people who still wear their Letterman jackets and hang out at the hometown bars. My life would be terrible. For them, that might be the life they want to live, but I have far surpassed those people. Those people are not even on my radar. So clear out the noise from people that don't matter and lean into your higher self. And then again, realize that not only is it possible, but that's who I am. And it's unacceptable to not be at this point. And then just very quickly, your reality changes. Like, it's literally one day to the next.
Absolutely, man.
You're in Wisconsin one day, and the next day you're here day gaming chicks at the airport while you're waiting for me to come back from Florida.
God, it's incredible. Just like, right. I was thinking about that when we were talking. Yeah, the dating. Like, I never thought I could have a full dating life. And I'll come to Jaron, I'm like, dude, like, I just freaking approached this chick, and we're going out. And it's like nice.
And I was telling someone earlier in this space, you get a lot of guys that come here, like, it's because they don't have success with women, or they can't get laid. And I've started saying, like, not only can I get laid whenever I want, but the reason a lot of guys want to get their dating life down is they want love at the end of the day. And in my morning gratitude, like, I am loved by so many cool girls. I mean, it's with the medical thing. I've had a handful coming over. Oh, can I bring you soup? Can I bring you this? Can I take care of you? Can I do your laundry? Like, not even asking them. They're just coming out and doing it. Like, I have so much love in my life from the opposite sex that I will never have a problem with that ever again. And even if they all disappear, I have self-love now. So like nothing trumps that either. So I think that's a good takeaway.
Yeah. I think it's a great place to end it, man, because we're going to get talking about dating for another hour. And I actually got a date in 20
I can
minutes.
do it.
So, and you got a date with
Nice.
you. So
I've got one here right
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So, hey guys, anyway, guys, appreciate everyone who tuned in. We had so many people today commenting. We love to see it. Thank you, Neanderthal, again, once again for that super chat, man. Super generous, and we hell of appreciate it. We're gonna have a great meal on you, and much love, brother. So, yeah, and guys, first episode of Gringo Guides Podcast. So let us know what you think. Let us know, what comments you want to or topics you want us to talk about. I mean, Jaron will be running mostly this channel, but I'll be on here and there. And then if any of you guys want to come on, if you have a channel, if you want to talk about anything, we'd be more than happy to schedule you in and do a podcast with you. So you got one tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I've got a pod tomorrow too. So I think about the same time. Yep. So yeah, be sure to tune in tomorrow. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, already do that. If you want to come onto a show, if you have any collaboration type topics, I'm more than glad to come on your channel and help you out too. At Jaron Scott on Instagram, that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. I do have an at Gringo Guides. Joel manages that one. At Jaron Scott, that's just me. It's open in this tab right now. I use it as my messenger along with my WhatsApp. So you will get right through to me. Again, like I was saying earlier in the point, it might take me a bit to respond to you because if I'm on Slack or a corporate call or a client call or putting together a proposal, yeah, I see the messages coming in, but I'll get back to them and do them all in batches when I have like me time, when I'm disconnected from my digital money-making life. So anything you need at all at Jaron Scott, be sure to hit me up. I will put it down in the link. If you're interested in learning Spanish, navigating Latin cultures, moving abroad to Mexico at some point, I do have an intro call. The link's down there. I believe it's $20 for 30 minutes. We'll start to put a plan in place for you. And then if you want to keep going on with coaching services, courses, anything like that, I'll point in the right direction. If it's not with me, it'll be with someone else. But that's kind of my gift to you guys. Yeah, I asked $20 because if you don't put a little skin in the game, no one shows up to those things, and I could be doing other things at that time. So $20 for 30 minutes introductory offer. That's down there in the link. Be sure to click on that. I want to thank you all for stopping by. And until next time, I shall bid you all farewell.
I'm going to do my quick sign up, Jared, real quick. Real quick.
Go. You better go.
Okay. Yeah. So for myself, Sobriety University, I as well have my $20 intro call where you can we can dive in for 40 minutes. And like Jared's 30 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. And we'll dive in.
I always go over. Like, come on. Let's be real.
And then we'll find out if we can help with your addiction. Like Jared said, like the $20 just to make sure people show up. I did a free gift session last week for anybody on my email list, and I had a good amount of people sign up, and I think one person showed up, maybe two, and there was a lot of the calls were scheduled early morning, so I'm up at 8 o'clock ready for the call. No one's there, and it's like that's what happens when you give away free stuff. So anyway, $20, we can help you with your addiction. And then as well, I live here with Jaron as well. So if you have questions on, day game, if you're a foreigner and you're not white and jacked and you need help with dating, I'm here for you.
Yeah, you get a lot of Asian guys that reach out to you. Yeah.
Peter Wu, baby. I don't do I don't do any social media or dating apps. I only do day game and cold approach. And it's worked fantastic. I have, probably 5-6 dates a week. And I love it. I love going out. I love just going on an adventure. And then you just run into chicks and just like, oh my God, like I'm just going to talk to her. And then next thing you know, you're hanging out and you're going on a date and it's awesome. So I've really kind of been working on mastering my craft of approaching and stuff. It helps in business too, guys, because it's like, okay, if I can get rejected by the hottest chick 1,000 times, I can go and ask this guy about business. So I've done over 1,000 approaches at this point, have gotten rejected many times. So I can help walk you through that process and start, just making sure you're saying the right things. Jaron's taught me a lot on once you get the number, how to convert it to an actual date by just using a simple sequence. I say pretty much the same thing every time to every single girl, and it works. So it's a lead funnel.
Just run them through it.
Funnel. Yep.
I do this for a living though, at like the corporate level. So like that model just applied to this as well. Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to chat about that, you can either hit me up on the Instagram or you can book a call with Jaron on his thing, and then I can fill in for Jaron, or we can hop on together and talk to you. Mystery method. Yeah. Spartan asked, do you do mystery method? I just learned about it this week. Actually, I do the London day game model, where you do more like inferences and stuff. I was out with a guy and he was all about mystery method. And he actually said he went out with mystery. He paid like $8,000 for his course.
Damn.
And it was crazy, right? And I was like, dude, that's sick. And they went to like London or something and did it. And he said it wasn't, super great, but Spartan, I'd be curious to hear about your experience with mystery method. If you want to do a podcast, I and Jaron can hop on and we can talk about that process.
Sure.
So yep. Anyway, guys, I think that's a good place to wrap. Once again, thank you so much. Jaron, sign us off. And
alrighty, I will do the sign off for the second time. So I would like to thank you all for stopping on by. And until next time, I shall bid you all farewell.